On April 21, 2025, the world watched with bated breath as news broke from the heart of West Africa. Burkina Faso announced the thwarting of a coup attempt, a revelation that sent ripples through the international community. The plan, meticulously set for April 16th, aimed to seize the presidential palace in Ouagadougou, the nation's capital and political heart. This event sent shockwaves, reminding observers of the fragility of peace in the West African nation, a country that has seen its fair share of turmoil. The foiled coup represents another chapter in Burkina Faso's ongoing struggle with political instability and violence, a struggle that has deep historical roots. The Burkinabe government, led by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, accused both domestic and foreign actors of orchestrating the plot, highlighting the complex web of influences at play. Two former military officers, Major Joanny Compaoré and Lieutenant Abdramain Barry, were identified as key figures in the conspiracy. They were believed to be operating from neighboring Ivory Coast, a country with its own history of political turmoil and unrest. Adding another layer of complexity, the government also pointed fingers at terrorist groups operating within Burkina Faso's borders, groups that have long been a thorn in the nation's side. These groups, some with links to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, have plagued the country for years, exacerbating the already volatile situation. Their involvement in the coup attempt highlighted the intricate link between political instability and the rising tide of extremism in the Sahel region, a region fraught with challenges. The foiled coup attempt underscored the immense challenges facing Burkina Faso, challenges that require both internal resilience and international support. It revealed the persistent threat to the government's authority and the complex web of internal and external actors seeking to exploit the volatile situation, a situation that demands vigilant governance. This event served as a stark reminder that Burkina Faso's journey toward stability and security remains long and uncertain, a journey that will require the collective effort of its people and the international community. The foiled coup in April 2025 is not an isolated incident in Burkina Faso's history. This West African nation has been a hotbed of political turmoil for decades, with a history that is both complex and tumultuous. The country has a long and troubled past marked by repeated military takeovers and political violence. Each coup has left an indelible mark on the nation's political landscape, contributing to a cycle of instability that has been difficult to break. Since gaining independence from France in 1960, Burkina Faso has witnessed numerous coups, each further weakening the country's democratic institutions and exacerbating existing social and economic divisions. The struggle for power has often overshadowed efforts to build a stable and prosperous nation. One of the most significant turning points in Burkina Faso's post-independence history was the rise and fall of Thomas Sankara. His leadership brought both hope and controversy, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to influence the country's political dynamics. A charismatic military officer, Sankara seized power in 1983 and initiated a revolutionary program of social and economic reforms. His vision was to transform Burkina Faso into a self-reliant and equitable society, free from the shackles of colonialism and dependency. He renamed the country from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, meaning land of upright men, and sought to create a more equitable and self-reliant society. His policies focused on education, health, and women's rights, aiming to uplift the most marginalized sections of society. However, Sankara's revolutionary zeal and radical policies earned him enemies both domestically and internationally. His bold stance against imperialism and corruption made him a target for those who felt threatened by his reforms. In 1987 he was overthrown and assassinated in a coup led by his close friend and comrade, Blaise Compaoré. This betrayal marked a dark chapter in Burkina Faso's history, leading to a prolonged period of authoritarian rule. Compaoré's rule, which lasted for 27 years, was marked by authoritarianism, corruption, and human rights abuses. His regime stifled political dissent and maintained power through a combination of repression and patronage. In 2014, a popular uprising forced Compaoré from power, raising hopes for a democratic transition. The people of Burkina Faso, weary of decades of oppression, demanded change and accountability. However, these hopes were short-lived. The political landscape remained fraught with challenges, and the promise of a new era of democracy and stability quickly faded. A failed coup attempt in 2015 and another successful one in 2022, which brought Captain Ibrahim Traoré to power, demonstrated the deep-seated challenges to establishing lasting stability in Burkina Faso. The cycle of coups and political unrest continues to hinder the nation's progress, leaving its future uncertain. The accusations leveled against Ivory Coast in the wake of the foiled coup attempt have sent shockwaves through the region. This incident has not only heightened tensions between Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso, but has also drawn attention to the broader geopolitical dynamics at play in West Africa. These accusations highlight the role of external actors in Burkina Faso's instability. The involvement of various international players has complicated the situation, making it difficult to pinpoint the exact sources of unrest. Relations between the two countries have long been strained, marked by mutual suspicion and accusations of interference in each other's internal affairs. This historical animosity has only been exacerbated by recent events, leading to a precarious diplomatic situation. Burkina Faso has accused Ivory Coast of harboring political opponents and providing support to armed groups operating along their shared border. These allegations have further strained the already fragile relationship between the two nations. Adding fuel to the fire is the growing threat of jihadist violence in the Sahel region. This volatile area has become a breeding ground for extremist groups, posing a significant security challenge for the entire region. Since 2015, Burkina Faso has witnessed a dramatic surge in attacks by militant groups, some with links to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. These groups have capitalized on the country's vulnerabilities to expand their influence. These groups have exploited the country's porous borders, weak governance, and intercommunal tensions to expand their influence and carry out deadly attacks. The lack of effective border control has made it easier for militants to move freely and coordinate their operations. The rise of jihadism in Burkina Faso is partly a consequence of the spillover from neighboring Mali, where a French-led military intervention in 2013 inadvertently created a power vacuum that allowed Islamist militants to flourish. This intervention, while initially successful in dislodging militants, failed to establish long-term stability. As these groups gained strength, they extended their operations into Burkina Faso, taking advantage of the country's own internal challenges. The militants have been able to exploit local grievances and recruit from disenfranchised communities. The involvement of terrorist groups in the foiled coup attempt, as alleged by the Burkinabe government, suggests a dangerous convergence of political and security threats. This convergence has created a complex and volatile environment that is difficult to navigate. If these groups are indeed seeking to influence political outcomes in Burkina Faso, it could have grave implications for the country's stability and the wider region. The potential for increased violence and further destabilization is a serious concern for all West African nations. The international community must pay close attention to these developments and consider coordinated efforts to address the root causes of instability. Without a comprehensive approach, the cycle of violence and political turmoil is likely to continue. The stakes are high, and the future of Burkina Faso, as well as the stability of the entire West African region, hangs in the balance. The actions taken in the coming months will be crucial in determining the trajectory of this crisis. The foiled coup attempt in Burkina Faso was not simply a military plot. It involved a complex web of actors, including traditional and religious leaders. According to the government, the plan involved exploiting the influence of these figures to incite a popular uprising and create chaos in the country. Traditional leaders such as village chiefs and elders hold significant sway in Burkina Faso's rural communities. They are often seen as custodians of tradition and wield considerable moral authority. The coup plotters allegedly sought to leverage this influence to turn the population against the government and create an environment conducive to their takeover. The alleged involvement of religious leaders adds another layer of complexity. Burkina Faso is a predominantly Muslim country, and religious figures hold significant sway over their followers. The coup plotters are believed to have attempted to exploit religious sentiments, potentially by portraying the government as anti-Islamic, or by promising to uphold Islamic values. By involving traditional and religious leaders, the coup plotters aim to broaden their base of support and undermine the government's legitimacy. This strategy highlights the fragility of state institutions in Burkina Faso and the enduring influence of traditional and religious structures.